gels are the most common type of fuel in any kind of endurance events. No matter if it's swimming, if it's running, if it's even a cycling event, gels you can find anywhere. With all these different types of gels, flavored, unflavored, 25 grams of carb, 20 grams of carbs, 40 grams of carbs, how do you know which gel is appropriate for you? So let's dive into it. Hey guys, welcome back to a new video. This week, no training recap. I'm only going to talk about gels, and we're going to keep it really quick and simple because although there are so many gels and it is a relatively overwhelming topic, I think we can break it down in a couple key aspects really quick, and at the end I'll give you my tip on how to find the best gel for you. So gels, just like these, you can find anywhere. You can pick up gels nowadays in any store and you will find them at any endurance event that you're doing. You need to figure out how many grams of carbohydrates do you want to consume per hour for your event. And if you want to learn how to find that number, type it down in the comments below and I will make a video about that. Once you have figured out how many grams of carbohydrates you need per hour, now we have to split it up in how often do you want to fuel. So we take the total amount of carbohydrates we want to consume per hour and divide it by the total amount of meals or feeding times or whatever you want to call it you want to have per hour. So if we take 50 grams of carbohydrates per hour and we want to fuel twice, 30 minutes and 60 minutes, we will take 25 grams of carbohydrates per feeding. So now we need to find a gel that has 25 grams of carbohydrates. For example, this gel right here, this is the Go Gel by BPN. This one has 24 grams of carbohydrates in one little gel. And you will find that 24 to 25 grams of carbohydrates is actually the standard amount per gel. So if you are looking for 25 grams of carbohydrates in a gel, any type of gel will do. This is the standard, the gold standard, about 25 grams of carbohydrates. You're golden. So now, if you want 50 grams of carbohydrates, you have one of these at 30 minutes, one of these at 60 minutes. Now, if you want to do 75 grams of carbohydrates per hour, you can have 3 gels. You just do one of these per 20 minutes. But let's say you want to do 60 grams of carbohydrates per hour. Okay, even there, we can split it up in 2 or 3 feeding times. Now we have to look for a gel that has 30 grams of carbohydrates in it or 20 grams of carbohydrates, depending on if we're eating 2 or 3 times. For example, here are Precision. They have a gel that has 30 grams of carbohydrates in it. And even if we want to go up to 80 grams and you want to feed twice per hour, Morton has a gel that has 40 grams of carbohydrates in it. And that leads me to the second point. And the second point is flavor. Flavor. It doesn't matter what the flavor says, you gotta try it. I have had so many different gels. I had the Precision gels, I had the Morton gels, I had the Huma gels, I had the Go gels from BPN, the Morton gels, you name it. I've tried a bunch of them, and I gotta tell you, they all taste different at different times in the day. Let me explain. For example, the BPN gel, apple cinnamon, it tastes great. The first gel on your run, it tastes great, right? It's still a little cool. It hasn't warmed up, so it's fine. The second gel, once you're like an hour in the run and it's hot outside and now the applesauce is in there, you're eating hot applesauce with cinnamon. I find that pretty yucky. The third gel, once you're out there for like 90 minutes, that was rough. I did not like that. But come here. Let me tell you. If you were thinking about going flavorless for a flavorless gel, like the Morton ones, like the Precision ones, there's no flavor in them, that's right, but they still have a flavor. They're not tasteless. It's not like you can just chuck these and you don't taste anything, you just feel a little weird texture in your mouth. They still have a flavor. And what they taste like is a just sweet, slightly salty-ish maybe paste. And in my opinion, it's pretty gross. If you have to choose between Precision or Morton for flavorless gels, my personal take is the Morton ones. I feel like the Morton gels, they taste a little bit better than the precision gels. The precision gels, they have some kind of weird aftertaste to me that I just don't like, and I don't want it. So I stick with Morton. And that brings me to the last point, which is make sure you try the gels. Obviously, you want to make sure if you set yourself a goal of 50, 60, 80 grams of carbohydrates per hour, that you can actually stomach that much carbohydrates per hour. So you have to try in training and mimic race day, meaning if you're planning on throwing back 80 grams of carbohydrates, you better plan on throwing back 3 gels of the Morton 30s or the Precision 30s or whatever you're going with per hour while you're running or while you're cycling, making sure your stomach isn't turning and you're gonna hit the shitter 5 minutes in. Just make sure you try your strategy and you try the flavors. And here's the thing, what I would do, right, and this is where it gets interesting, and I'll have it up here as well. Let's switch to the computer, shall we? So what I would do is go on thefeet.com. It is your best place to find any kind of endurance sports nutrition product, and just go on nutrition and just go on gels, and then scroll through and look at all these different gels that they have. And the best thing about the Feet is that they sell everything in single servings if you want to. So you can go in there and you can get 1 gel of every brand or of every flavor of your favorite brand, right? And just try it. Just try it out so that you don't run into any issues in your event. And that is really it. It's that simple. Figure out how many grams of carbohydrates you want per hour, divided by how often you want to fuel per hour, 2-3 times usually, and then that gives you the amount of carbohydrates you have to find in a gel, right? Standard is 25 grams. Like both of these, 25 grams. Flavorless, flavored, with caffeine, without caffeine. So just make sure that you know exactly what you're grabbing when. And maybe you want to do a combination of all. So that's what I'm doing. I will start a caffeine gel probably in the beginning of my event and maybe in the middle, and then I might be going for something like this. Maybe I like applesauce right at the beginning, but I don't like applesauce an hour in. So after that, maybe I will switch to a berry gel or a flavorless gel. So you can play around with the gels that you like, but make sure you try everything first. That is it with this video. I wanted to keep it pretty short and just ramble on a little bit about my thought process of choosing a gel. So I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll catch you in the next one.